To the 2000 or 2200 January 12th meeting of Board of Franklin County Commissioners. I have a roll call.
Waymeyer,
Present.
Commissioner Harris,
Present.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Present.
Chair Dunn.
Present. You join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have an invocation now.
A thought to think on today. If I'm looking for the peace of God without honoring God with my life, I'll never experience grace in the way that God has offered it. Something to consider. I pray for you. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for who you are. I pray for protection over our county and this committee, this team. Lord, I pray over their leadership and the directions and decisions that they will be making in this year. I pray that you would bless this county immensely in great ways. And Lord, I pray over the protection of all the families that are dealing with COVID and all of the challenges and the seriousness of the situation. I thank you in advance that you're with us, that you're not turning a blind eye. In your name, amen.
Thank you. Any correspondence or
No, sir.
any public comment?
No,
We'll go to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we're not going to do number 2. Shannon said not available to do those minutes, so we'll just be the first one. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Moved in second. Debbie?
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymeyer,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, items of business today is Justin Brown is going to give us an update on approval of the fiscal year 2021 year-end outcome report.
Thank you.
Morning,
Good morning,
Dennis.
Commissioners.
Morning.
This morning, we have before you the fiscal year 21 year-end outcome report. Typically, this comes before you a little earlier. We were waiting on KDOC to finalize their statistical summary this year, and that came to us last month. This report was approved last month by the advisory board, so I wanted to take a few minutes today and go over it with you. If you'll look at the first page, we have process goals that we were trying to meet in fiscal year 21. The first was to review client participation in programming. The first objective there was to track data on care coordination participants, and care coordination is a partnership between us and the Elizabeth Layton Center. We have a clinician on site with us that does in-house therapy and other programming. In fiscal year 21, we had 99 closures from that program, and 55 were successful for a success rate of 55%. That might seem a little low, but for participation in a program like that, where you'll see on the next page, I think 55% is a pretty good number, actually. On page 2, you will see a list of clients in the fourth quarter. If you'll notice, they have a trend in not engaging in this type of therapy and treatment. And so they'll miss their appointments, they'll not engage, they'll not call, they'll not schedule. They basically just won't show up. And that seems to be the trend with the folks that are in this program, the ones that are not participating. So again, 55% is a pretty good number for that program, and we are pretty pleased with that this year. The second objective at the bottom of page 2 was to track data on batterer intervention program participants. We funded one participant during the fourth quarter, and we also provided funding for 3 BIP assessments in the fourth quarter. With COVID, that really impacted the batterer intervention programming in the past couple of years, and so it just doesn't look like it used to. They are doing it, though, virtually instead of in person like they used to. the top of page 3, you'll see another goal to fully implement cognitive-based programming, i.e. MRT. And to go over some of those objectives, all of our staff are trained in programs such as this. We do have a database to track participants, but the problem is that we just have not had the staff to deliver the program, and we have not had the referrals to actually run the group to fidelity. We have to have at least 4 participants at a time in this program, ideally more like 8 or 10. And it's been tough with COVID to get the participants for that program. And also with our staffing issues and our caseloads being as high as they are, we just don't have the staff to really implement these programs like we would like to. So that'll be a goal that we continue to work on this fiscal year. But we do have some other things in place. We have a smart board in Suite 6 now that will allow us to do these groups in a more hybrid manner as opposed to just virtually or just in person. So we do have some strategies to target that in the upcoming year. The goal at the bottom of page 3 was to reduce employee turnover through organizational and individual development. We still do policy reviews and updates. We do get staff input on all of these updates when they're warranted. However, we did not review all department policies within the fiscal year. We had some staffing issues towards the end of the year that really impacted administration and had administration take on a full caseload. And so we could not do the administrative tasks like we wanted to. Objective 2 at the top of page 4, administration will continue quality assurance measures. We still do these as much as we can. We work with each employee to see how they are doing with the different tools and strategies that we have. There are a lot of strengths, and staff consistently do meet these expectations. They use these practices to fidelity, such as effective practices in community supervision, such as our assessments, and just general supervision. I would say that that's especially commendable this year when caseloads have been as high as they are. And I'll talk about that again at the end of this report. And then the objective there in the middle of the page, agency staff will meet and exceed training requirements for the fiscal year, and we did that thanks in large part to a lot of webinars in the fiscal year. Those have been kind of our saving grace as far as training goes. At the bottom of page 4, you'll see the outcome goals, and these are the ones that are mandated by KDOC. We are supposed to try to meet a 75% success rate of probation completions. You'll see there at the bottom of the page that there were 95 completions this fiscal year, 74 of which did not result in revocation. That's a success rate of 77.9%. Again, with the challenges in staffing and with COVID and everything else, I think that 78% is pretty commendable as well. What that says is that our staff are working with these clients and addressing their risks and their needs to keep them from going back to prison. Those clients are doing the things that they need to do to be successful and not go back to prison as well. So there's a public safety component there for sure. There is some breakdown there at the top of page 5 as well. Again, this data came to us a little late, and there was some discrepancy with what KDOC put out officially with what we had tracked in-house. If you'll recall, we did change statewide databases in the middle of the year, and I think that impacted a lot of these numbers. But the overall success rate was pretty consistent with what we were tracking locally as well. It's not noted on this report, but I do want to bring to your attention that our average daily population during the fiscal year remained at around 200 active adult felony offenders, and that is for 4 counties. And we have 4 officers that cover those 4 counties. And so 200 active felony adult offenders divided by 4 officers is 50 active felony offenders per officer. And that is a high caseload for each of our staff. That's not factoring in the 50 absconders district-wide and the other roughly 50 administrative supervision clients, such as those that are in jail or who are on some other kind of administrative status. So our caseloads for each of our staff right now are around 60 to 70 clients each. And these are high-risk folks who we have to see week in and week out and address these high risks, high needs. So I just want to put that out there, that when you see a success rate of 77, 78%, working with the folks that we do, with the caseload numbers that we have, I think that our hats should really go off to these folks who are doing this work. So I will stand for any questions.
Are you fully staffed then with caseloads like that, or really you should have more?
We changed our staffing formula 6 months ago or so. We had a vacancy at the time, and as you'll recall, we were removed from the county's pay plan based on some wording in the personnel policies. So we removed a position to address some of the salary numbers that we were facing. Court services got an increase that doesn't affect community corrections at all. Recently, parole and corrections officers statewide also got an increase, and so these folks are making more than we are as far as salary goes. So to try and keep these folks that we have doing this good work here in Franklin County, we changed our staffing up to get them a little more money to keep them here, and that's worked well, but it came at the cost of having a little higher caseload. So ideally, we'd like to have another staff or two to do this work, but it's just a situation we're in right now.
Okay, any other questions for Dustin? We need to vote on each one of these.
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the year-end report, yeah.
Can I entertain a motion to approve the year-end 2021 report?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Whitmire,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, Dustin.
All right, number 2, we just have a renewal of an appointment to our advisory board. This would expire in November 2023, and it's for Dr. Cobbs, the superintendent of USD 290. He's been on the board since 2019, and he currently serves as the vice chair of the board, so we are seeking renewal of his appointment for a 2-year term at this time.
Be happy to make a motion to renew the appointment of Dr. Cobbs to the 4th Judicial District Community Corrections Advisory Board.
You have somebody that good? You better keep them on. I will second it.
You second it then? I am? Okay. Got a motion, second?
Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Whitmire,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes,
Thank you, Commissioners.
thank you. Dustin, could you come up here? No, other Dustin. Little malfunction in this computer today.
Roy, do you want hard copies of the,
Yeah, that'd be a lot better for me. Okay. I don't want to indicate my age, but this technology's a little tough here.
Want me to pinch it for a second?
Where we at? Cole?
Number
on.
3.
Third item is a rezoning application.
Okay, come on up, Kenny.
Good morning. So this first item is a rezoning request. We actually, you actually heard the first part of this request probably about a month ago now. This one, when we published in the paper, part of the legal description got published. The other part ended up accidentally getting left off of the original publication. So we just sort of had to take it through a second time to get this other half done. So this is a rezoning from the A1 agriculture district to an A2 district. The other part of this was rezoning from the A1 to an RE district. So this just sort of completes that process that we had started. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions of Kenny about this rezoning application?
No, I actually think I was there when this come up, so it was pretty clear cut and basic, what people need to do, and Kenny did a good job of putting it together for them. And I'd like to, if there's no more questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion moved and seconded to do this rezoning request. Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Go ahead, Kenny.
Okay. So this other item is for a grant of easement that was part of a lot split application that would have been part of a previous zoning application. Took a little bit of time to get this back. The property owner is actually in Florida, so it took a number of contacts with them to get them to sign things correctly and get it back to us. So we finally have this document together. So basically, they were dividing, I think, a 30-acre tract into two. With this, it grants some additional right-of-way to us so that if we need to do any road improvements, drainage improvements, we'll have that right-of-way available. I think in the future, when I sent this one over, I forgot to mention that I was hoping to have it on the consent agenda so that you didn't necessarily have to look at it separately. So I think in the future, I'm going to try to do that. It's more of just part of the process of the lot split. So again, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Okay, an affirmative motion for this item. I'll make a motion to accept the grant of public road and utility easement from William F. Cornauer and Ginger Cornauer.
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Move to second, roll call?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, next item is chip and seal project.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Derek, go ahead.
Yep, so here we're considering approval to go ahead and solicit bids for our 2022 chip seal project. As you know, this is something we do basically every year. David's done a good job breaking down the specific roads, and you should all have that in front of you. They are in the northeastern part of the county this year, and you have a specific breakdown should you have any questions. But at this point, we're really just seeking approval to go ahead and solicit the bids. It seems like we're always near the end of the pack every year in terms of getting this done. And so we're trying to get it out there as early as we can. So hopefully it's done a little more timely this year.
Looks like we're getting a price for the CML and the CMK, like we always do, so the White Rock and the Red Rock.
Yeah, this is one of those things we need to get done as early as possible, and I'll entertain a motion to solicit bids for the 2022 chip seal project.
I like that. I like what David does is he doesn't just because it's on the list, we do it. They actually go out, drive the roads, make sure, yeah, we really do need to do this road. So I would make the motion that we go out, solicit bids for the Franklin County 2022 chip seal project.
Get a motion approved, we got a second?
Second.
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. And to go aside with this about the paint stripe bid.
Yeah, so as you said, Roy, in conjunction with the chip seal project, we also do the painted pavement marking project. And in layman's terms, that just means we put chip seal down and then we have a contractor come put lines on the new chip seal. And that is what this item is for, just asking that we receive approval to go ahead and solicit bids for that as well.
Pretty self-explanatory, and a affirmative motion would be to solicit bids for the Franklin County 2022 pavement marking project.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hey, Debbie?
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the spring cleanup. Pat, would you wanna come forward and talk about that?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Pat.
As you know, every spring, we do a spring cleanup at the transfer station for the countywide, for the complete county plus the individual towns. What we're proposing this year for the countywide cleanup is April 22nd and 23rd. That's a Friday and a Saturday, of course, and that'll be the days where the public can come out to the transfer station and dispose of their unwanted waste. At no charge, with the exception of tires, Freon units, and any commercial or business accounts that we already have in-house. Tied to that, the whole month of April will be kind of our free cleanup. What we're looking at prospectively now, pending with the city of Ottawa, if it works for them, the 1st and 2nd of April for the city proper, and then the towns west of 59, which would be Richmond, Princeton, Williamsburg, and Pomona, the 8th and 9th of April. And then the next weekend be east of 59, which is your Lane, Rantoul, and Wellsville on the 15th and 16th, which all those dates are Fridays and Saturdays. So, but like I say, if there's any other questions or anything, that's what we're proposing and looking at our month of April, our annual cleanup.
What day is Easter this year?
I just looked it up. It's the
Easter is on the 17th.
17th, so
Yep, so it's not, it'll be a weekend, it will be where it's east of 59, but we won't be out there on that Easter weekend. We took that, we always take that into consideration.
and that's just when they just have the roll-offs in
Correct.
those communities, so
Yes,
it's not
that is
like
correct.
some, yeah.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, any further questions to Pat, or? Okay, affirmative action would be to make a motion, approve the following dates for spring cleanup, and Pat gave those dates.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Does everyone do the roll call?
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes, okay. Hey, Dustin, consider approval of various annual software maintenance renewal invoices.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is kind of a regular item where every January you get to see me to pay some bills. You're our short one invoice I usually bring with you this year. That's why our total number looks a little less than it has in the past. I do hope to get that in the near future, and we'll be back in front of you with it. But with that, you do have 3 of the main 4 here. This is our current financial management platform for the Thomson Reuters side. Of that, the general fund pays for just over $45,000 of that invoice. The register of deeds and treasurer's office technology funds pay for the remaining balance of that invoice. The mobile wireless solution or invoice is a VPN solution that is primarily used by our emergency services, sheriff's office included, for their mobile CAD devices, mobile data terminals that they have in their vehicles. The third invoice is for our current website vendor. They also have a application tracking module for our HR department. That is the annual invoice for that. For the grand total on these 3 being $78,367.50. If you'd have any questions about these 3 invoices, I'd be happy to answer those.
How do they compare to last year?
There are minimal increases within the 3 to 5% that we'd expect each year.
Cool.
Any other questions of Dustin? Affirmative motion be to approve the payment of invoices for the annual support services for the fiscal year 2022 in the amount of $78,367.50.
So moved?
Second.
Any other discussion? Debbie, want to do roll call?
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes?
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioners.
Dustin.
Ready for staff reports, Roy?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Go ahead.
Couple of things today. We've talked a lot about stimulus funds, and just as a reminder, the first COVID-related stimulus was called the CARES Act. Second COVID-related stimulus is called the ARPA. The county will receive right around $5.2 million in ARPA funds. I know the city of Ottawa has also received their own ARPA funds, and the smaller towns in the county were eligible for ARPA funds as well. I don't know, who all applied and what they received, but I know they were eligible. The final rule for ARPA came out last week, and it actually introduced some fairly dramatic changes. So the final rule allows recipients to claim a standard allowance of up to $10 million for revenue loss. So anyone receiving these funds can just claim, okay, revenue loss for up to 10 million. And if you claim that, then you can use up to 10 million for quote unquote government services, which anything that we do with those funds, I am confident I can claim is government services. So in other words, all we have to do is claim this allowance, and we can use our entire 5.2 million for basically anything that we want. Another benefit is that the reporting requirements have been dramatically streamlined as well. And my understanding is Congress did this in response to a lot of feedback from local governments just on easing up these restrictions. And so as we move forward, basically, we can entertain about any ideas that we can come up with. Having said that, and I don't want to get into specifics today, I have talked to the five of you about certain ideas, one of which involves our employees. I still intend, or the Employee Retention Committee intends to advance that idea forward, but there's just a lot of ideas that are on the table. Initially, infrastructure, roads and bridges, that was not eligible. Now it is. I mean, literally, every department, everything we do is government services. So I think we need to just start thinking about potential uses of that. And if I hear differently, this is my interpretation, but I think the final rule is fairly clear. If I hear differently, I will report back to you, but I'm pretty confident that this is what we're looking at. So any questions
Still
on
in
that?
the infrastructure, possibility, the infrastructure money from the infrastructure bill?
Yeah, there is an
Still?
infrastructure bill. We just don't know yet.
And we have no idea when we might.
We don't know
Have an
when, and we don't know how it is going to
But
disseminate
it goes to the
down.
state and you have to ask for it?
That's exactly right. We don't know yet. What I am hearing is, yes, that it will probably be released to the states and we will have to apply through them, but I don't think any of that's been finalized. But yeah, I think it would behoove us to continue to take a cautious approach, because there are a lot of governments that blew through their ARPA funds, and now this final rule is released, and they're probably thinking, wow, like if we would have only waited, whereas Franklin County, we haven't spent a dime of it yet, so we're in a pretty good spot. But I think we should also wait and see what we learn about the infrastructure bill. And just to remind you, we have until the end of '24 as it stands today. It's entirely possible that that could get extended. And so we're not on a tight time frame, just something to start thinking about. Any other questions on ARPA?
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, how the consultants will fare. If it's streamlined like that, you might not need consultants.
I was wondering, do we still want to pay them?
Yeah, yeah, well, and that's a discussion we'll certainly have, yeah.
Okay, anything else, Eric?
Yeah, kind of tied to that, and I'll use this to segue to Casey's report, but is COVID. I mean, ARPA still is first and foremost a COVID relief bill, and I'm frustrated to say this, but we're right back to where we were. And COVID is as bad as it has ever been. Like, my staff is in fact, I think within the county, we are more decimated by COVID than we ever were back in 20 or 21. And the burden on the health department is currently higher than it has ever been. So we're almost 2 years in, and Franklin County is now dedicating more resources to COVID than we ever have. And I know that there are pockets of the community, of the world that are over this, and that's fine, but we still have to respond to it, and we are dedicating more resources to it than we ever have. And so I just would ask that you keep that in mind. Our health department, full of absolute rock stars. Like, if you walk in there, like I walked in there yesterday, their phones are ringing nonstop. And that, I'm not, being dramatic. Their phones are ringing nonstop. Like, this Omicron variant is so transmissible. Luckily, we believe that it's less severe, but it's so easily transmissible that we're getting calls all the time. Our testing line is repeatedly snaked around the parking lot out there. And so definitely want to give a shout out to the folks that are responding to this. They're doing a fantastic job. I would just ask that the commissioners continue to be patient with us as we work through this. 'Cause unfortunately, I don't think it's ending soon. And so that's all I have. If you want to come up, Casey.
Morning,
Morning,
Commissioners.
Casey.
Yeah, to add to what Derek says, our numbers are more than double what our high was before. But a big issue right now for the health department is testing supplies for like the schools or for pharmacies are really hard to come by right now. And even I know some of the physician offices here locally are having issues getting testing supplies. The health department has not had issues with testing supplies, but they are getting even more inundated with people that want tested because they can't get it elsewhere. So there's that. And all of our tests from Franklin County go to the state lab, which is way behind in running results because they've been inundated with tests. So it's taking at least 3 to 5 days to get test results at this time. So we just ask for people to be patient because once the test leaves us, it's out of our control how long it takes, and it is taking a while to get results. So
I know Dr. Cobb said at the meeting yesterday morning that kids will get tested on Friday, and they don't get the result back till Wednesday, and they're back in school on Friday because it's only a 5-day, so they're hardly out.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yep. Any other questions? I have.
Yeah, thank you for the update, Casey.
Yeah, no problem.
Sheriff, got anything?
I do have a cough, but I am doing the testing protocol that we're having our jail staff do, so it's a cold. So just to let you know that. This week, we learned that Lewis Ashcraft, who is a former Franklin County Sheriff, he served from 73 to 75. He passed away on New Year's Day. And so his obituary was in the Ottawa Herald, and then we've posted it on our social media as well. So, an interesting thing about Sheriff Ashcraft is he was the last sheriff to actually live in the sheriff quarters, which was above the jail downtown. So kind of just a neat little tidbit there on him. But we were thinking of his family this week because he was a former sheriff here. The last couple of days, we've had a lot of grass fires. that we've been responding to with county fire, as well as city fire has been helping out as well. And I just wanted to commend our staff for, yesterday we had we had 3 at one time, and there were structures that were in danger. And our staff was knocking on doors, making sure people were aware and getting them prepared to evacuate if it came down to that, and then helping spot other fires and things. So I just wanted to commend our staff, and then say thanks to the Ottawa Police Department for helping out. I was the only one out on the one on I-35, and there was no visibility out there, and I needed more help, and they were able to show up to help with that. So we were very appreciative. Last thing I have is that last night I went to the Farm Bureau board meeting, and we are working on a partnership that's going to help Farm Bureau members in our ag community, as well as the sheriff's office. They'll be working on some things that they want to offer, the ability to give some training to more of our staff as far as what to do on some animal calls and then on farm accidents and things like that, so that we are better prepared going into those situations and can handle them more effectively. As you guys know, our ag community is a big part of our community, and so we just wanted to kind of help strengthen that relationship that we have, and Farm Bureau has been very gracious to us in that aspect, and so I just wanted to mention that publicly.
Unrelated to that, Jeff, wife said you talked about rustling
Yes.
in the state, and what's the approach on that?
Well, we have not had any reports of cattle thefts in our county, but I get the reports from the Brand's office as they happen for across the state, and it seems like I'm getting 3 or 4 reports a day now that are that will say on there, this is a theft, instead of, well, they lost a bull or this and that they're actually saying, yeah, these are thefts. And you can kind of see patterns with them when you look at the locations of where they are. So it's just something for us to be extra aware of in our county. One of the things that we have to deal with is that there are a lot of people that live up in the city right now. They move down here because they want to be away from people, so they don't necessarily know their neighbors as well, things like that. And so what's suspicious activity, calls and things like that, they may or may not be getting called in because of that, because they're just kind of sometimes to themselves and don't know who their neighbors are. So but I wanted to mention it to them because, the people at that meeting were the ones that are going to be able to help get the word out to everybody else.
Did your sheriff department have some little visitors this last week? Delivering donuts?
Delivering,
Donuts?
yes, and we also had some had visitors that brought in cookies and brownies too, and so we're going to have to step up our fitness program, but we do appreciate the support from the various groups of thinking of our staff. Sunday was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and so there were some groups that did stop by to bring us some.
I saw the picture of the little kids from the apple garden.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're always appreciative of that, and we have fun interacting with those individuals when they come in. Yeah.
It was it can be comical, COVID-19, when you said you had a cough, but it was a cold. You might have to have a sign around you, say, well, I got the flu, not COVID, or I got a cold and it's not COVID. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty tough this time of year when flu season's about to.
It is, and we do, as Derek alluded to, we do have some staff, out as well, and but right now we're making all those accommodations, and then the plans that we have in place, the health department has approved, and so we're working in cooperation with them. Casey talked about testing supplies, and health department has been great getting us extra test kits, and we kind of helped the Ottawa Police Department get get set up to do the same thing that we've been doing, because we were testing their staff as well. Now they are able to test their own, which is good, because if they have a positive, we didn't want to mingle our staffs that way. So health department's been great for us during this, and I can't say enough about them. They've been great for us.
Well, and I would commend Sheriff Richards as well, because him and his staff took it upon themselves to implement enhanced testing and safety protocols. I obviously echo his sentiment about the health department, but Jeff provided the plan to the health department for how he was going to keep his employees safe. And it's an aggressive plan. And I understand you have some folks out, but Lord knows how many you would have out if you weren't testing as much as you are. So certainly know that I appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Casey, Dustin, Kenny, commissioners. Oh, Debbie, do you have anything for us? Okay. Don, do you have?
I did attend the Lane City meeting the other night. They had a very big turnover, 4 new board members and a new mayor. That's pretty nearly everybody. But they're real fortunate. The past mayor and the past mayor before both were at the meeting and are willing to help them do a lot of things, happened a year or two ago that you're still working on now. So they've offered up, they're basically the one before past mayor is attending meetings and they can always ask him, about things that's happened or what happened or idea what's going on. So it's been very helpful to them with their big changeover down there. They did talk about they'd received some FEMA money from the floods a couple of years ago, and they just now have received their money. And it's kind of a funny deal. The clerk announced that they'd received their drug money. Well, they didn't receive their drug money. They received their alcohol tax money from the county. But you could see the board members' looks on their face, and basically the new ones, that they'd received their drug money. But anyhow, they've announced that they're doing some improvements to their park down there, and they're very thankful that we have a new vendor up the road here on 35 with the distillery that's adding back to that money that wasn't there for a few years. So it's little dollars, but it really helps the little communities out. We did go to the Wellsville Chamber meeting yesterday. It's basically a whole new board up there also. They're just getting their feet on the ground. They do have a part-time chamber staff now that they have, and it's in coalition with the Health Coalition. So she kind of works for both, so it helps out both directions. And they put their meeting together with the chamber so they can cut cost, I guess is the best word to say for it. And they have been looking for a full-time office, just one little office for the chamber up there, and they've got a couple places kind of narrowed down right now for office space so they can have a full-time office. That person wouldn't be in there full-time, but their computer and website and everything would be there and all ready to take. And another thing, I asked them, their newsletter up there that they put out, they put on their newsletter if any businesses in town have job openings or whatever, or they need people, that they can advertise on their newsletter. And I asked her, being the county, the chamber member, if that would be open to the county also. So I'm going to tell Sherry or whoever that if she thinks that's a pliable thing, just another place to advertise employment, no charge to the county because you're a member. So I'll mention that to Sherry if it's okay. Sure. And if she's interested, okay. If she don't think it's, well, we won't, but it's offered to us for free and go on their newsletter. So, yeah. And I mentioned your name also.
Well, we already did it. They have our job.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I got.
That's good, Don. Diane, do you have anything?
The city of Ottawa at their regular meeting last Wednesday, approved their 5-year capital improvement plan. And also, they moved some things forward on Phase 4 of the Westwood subdivision, which was between 17th and 19th Street. There's 15 lots there. If you've gone by there, you've seen them putting in roads and doing grading and things there. So that's another exciting opportunity that maybe we'll have 15 more houses by January 1st next year. That would be great for everybody. The study session on Monday, Eric Crawley was elected mayor, and Mike Skidmore was elected mayor pro tem. I attended the chamber board meeting yesterday morning. Just some takeaways. They did create a permanent board member position for the OMA, the auditorium. They are going to have legislative coffees this year, starting in January. They're going to have one in January, February, and then one in the 1st of April. They're going to do those hybrid, so you can either go in person. At this point, you can go in person or listen online, and they already have, if you have questions that you want to ask your legislatures, they're already gathering those for the January one. They are having their annual dinner on January 27th at OU, with the auction items at Primetime Grill like they did last year. That's open to the public, so anybody can bid on those. Again, going back to the legislative session, the Kansas Association of Counties has a couple of ways that you can be involved. On Tuesdays, or on Fridays at 2 o'clock, every Friday they're having a Zoom meeting that kind of gives you an update of what's gone on during the week, and anybody that's a part of the Kansas Association of Counties can sign up for those. You can either attend or not, or just go on when you can. On the 26th is the 2022 Local Government Day that they have with the League of Municipalities, which is, they encourage us to go there, and then they have a reception for our legislators. And then this year, they're trying something new. They're going to have a county day at the Capitol on February 16th, where they're just trying to get counties involved in just getting our faces there to let them know that, yes, you're working for us. And then last night, the United Way had their first meeting of the year. Erin Laurie, who is from our county health department, I think it was kind of one of those things, if you were the chair when COVID hit, you're still the chair. And so she was reelected as the chair of United Way for this year. They had a pretty lengthy discussion about how we can help the homeless this year, and COVID, it's still COVID, they can't do a pop-up shelter with the way things are right now. So anyway, that's still, they have a lot of people that are caring about the homeless, but at this point, it's really what can we do? And that's all I have for today.
Before we move on, we might talk a little bit about the chamber dinner. In the past, I think we sponsored a table in the past, I think at the $250 level, I think, on it, and.
No, I think the last time we didn't sponsor a table, but some of us went. Did we actually sponsor a table?
I think we just bought tickets. You're right, Ian.
I think we just bought tickets, yeah.
To sponsor a table at the, I think, $250 level, you get two free tickets to the banquet. And the banquet's separate, or the auction is separate from the banquet this year. All the auction items are going to be out at the Primetime Grill, and it'll be a virtual auction. And this Friday, I think that's the last day to make your personal reservations for the banquet on the 14th. And I didn't know if we wanted to sponsor a table for the banquet or not. I'd like to discuss it anyway, see if anybody would be interested in sponsoring a table.
Do we have a price deal? Do we have a price sheet? Do we know how much tickets are, how much a table is, what our options are? Or could we get one maybe?
Silver sponsor is 2 tickets and listing in the program. It's not a table. The gold sponsor is $400, and it's 4 tickets. And then that table is actually 800.
Maybe we just buy tickets for whoever wants to go?
I'm gonna say, to be clear, you all would be attending this in your commissioner capacity, so the county would buy you tickets if you want to go, just for whatever that's worth.
I just know.
And I've gone back and forth on this. I'm like, yes, I want to support them, but do I actually want to go at the point with COVID where it is, you know? So I wouldn't mind the county buying a ticket, and then I'll make a decision where I go, or whether I go or not. I don't know.
She would like the $250 sponsorship.
I'd
No, I
just buy
think we're just
tickets
gonna just say, just buy the tickets for
if you
whoever
go,
wants
if
to
you
go.
wanna go, yeah.
Okay,
That's fine.
okay. Thank you, Diane.
So let,
Diane.
who do we let know that we want a ticket? Okay, all right.
Anyway, deadline for those is Friday.
What's the date of that, Roy?
The 27th,
January
the
20,
Thursday, I think.
January,
Out at Ottawa University.
oh, yeah, I remember reading that. I just
You're
didn't remember the
interested.
date.
Yeah, just stop by the admin suite and let Amy or Casey know, and they'll make sure you get a ticket.
Okay. Is that all you have, Ian?
Yep.
Is that- Okay. Cole, do you have anything?
Nothing I need to add.
Fine. It'll be fine.
Okay. I went to the Area Agency on Aging meeting yesterday morning, and they talked about their art money, and I think they received $50,000 of art money, and they used it for some of the work out at the radish patch on the pavement and the trees and stuff like that. And there was a little discussion whether it was appropriate use of the funds, and anyway, Osage County representative there said they're going to use some of their funds for upgrading their radio system, and one of the other commissioners said, well, that's not appropriate use for the ARPA funds. But like Derek said, they had the final solution on how to use it. So sounds like everything can work if it's to the public good. So anyway, we discussed that a little bit. Then we discussed the Area Agency on Aging owns their facility down there, and they have it's probably common throughout downtown Ottawa that they have common walls between the businesses, and anyway, they're having a little trouble with the ownership of the building next to them because they have a common wall, and it needs some repairs, and then the other party doesn't want to contribute the half for the cost of the repairs and stuff like that. So it's anyway, they was comparing that to fence viewing, the other commissioners there. So we might have to have a wall viewing or something like that. And it was kind of funny discussing how to deal with those common walls. And I think that's throughout downtown Ottawa. They have common walls like that. And they discussed how to provide meals for inclement weather, and they have packs where they can provide 10 meals in a pack, so they could preempt the weather if they need to, instead of sending out their drivers to all the locations in a kind of a hazardous situation. So we talked about that, but I think that was the main things we talked about. Does anybody have anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
You guys will let us know about the luncheon next week?
Yeah.
We're adjourned. Thank you.